All right, moving to a pretty big issue that's inflicting or about to inflict regional Australia, and this is mice. You'll remember 2 years ago, devastating pictures of the mice plague that invested farms across rural Australia. Crops destroyed, properties damaged, of course. They're serious plagues, they're horrific plagues. I speak from experience. I grew up in the Mallee and I've seen plenty of mice plagues in my time. Well, farmers are now on alert. An increase of vermin in Queensland, through New South Wales and down to the Victorian border, has a lot of farmers worried. Joining me now, President of the New South Wales Farmers Association, Xavier Martin. Thank you for your time, Xavier. I have deliberately put this issue at the top of the show because I think it's a very significant one. Are we headed for another plague, and what's driving the increase in numbers?
Well, certainly the initial reports are that, we're seeing increasing damage to crops and fodder and significant numbers in patches across the state. But look, that's how a plague starts, and whether it's over the Victorian border or Queensland border or over the South Australian border, there is widespread identification of increasing numbers at the moment. It started off just with a few of my members saying, they'd noticed a lot of fat foxes and feral cats, but, everyone knows what they're living on. They've done very well, the mice breeding up, thank you very much, from last year's harvest that kept them through the summer. And they've stocked their pantry up for the winter, and they're out and about it. They're just leaving a meeting the other night near Coonabarabra, and I ran into, was only dozens going across the road initially, but then you get into a thick patch where there's thousands rushing one way or another across the road. So, there's, an emerging problem we've got to be alert to and take the appropriate response.
Help people understand too, it's not just grain stores and food stores that are affected. It's much bigger than that. Hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of machinery on a farm can have the electricity cabling stripped out by mice. It's a massive financial and mental health toll on farmers and farming communities. What needs to happen now to prevent the plague escalating?
Yeah, look, just 2 years ago, we saw hundreds of millions of dollars of damage done principally to grain and fodder, hay sheds, but it was to houses, sheds, in town, commercial and industrial premises, even in hospitals. And of course, we had a jail evacuated at Wellington because of the mice infestation. So, it was just extraordinary. Fortunately, that's fresh in people's memory, Peter. So we're optimistic that there will be an alert approach to what is going on, and the possibility to observe and measure the level of breeding, because they just explode the way they can have a litter every 3 weeks of 6 to 10 little ones, and then straight back as they haven't even weaned the ones they've got, and they're having another 3 weeks, and this all kicks in at maturity at 6 weeks. So they just explode in terms of the numbers. Now, where we're at with this developing one is we're right at the sowing of the winter crop. So we're actually putting seed out into the ground. So it's not that they all want to dig it up from depth, but as a seedling emerges, they nip the top off a canola seedling, and it's just like a protein shake. They just have a suck on it, and they're getting a shot and straight back to breeding. And we've got to be alert to what's happening, because we're right on the threshold of it potentially exploding into the springtime.
And of course, we've got potentially some hope in sight that we're going to get barley back into China. The last thing we need is a mice infestation in crops. Thank you for your time, Xavier. We will stay across the issue.